All right, so stop me if you have heard this before, but Draymond Green has found himself in some hot water. The Warriors forward leaving the bench in the third quarter of Golden State's win over Orlando on Monday. He returned to the bench, but did not go back into the game. Steve Kerr said it was Green's decision to leave the bench, and it was his decision not to put Green back in when he returned. So I need to bring someone on the ground out in the Bay to talk more about this. Who better than my guy, Nick Friedell, senior writer over at The Athletic. Nick, you've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of Draymond over the years. Where do you rank this on the Draymond-o-meter in terms of infractions?
This one was rough, Chris, because he left the rest of the group. Every other Draymond interaction was in the framework usually of the team or something happened or it was in a game at a practice that people will remember the pool punch and everything that happened after that. But to leave the rest of your teammates in the moment just shows how bad one Draymond was feeling, but two, how high the tempers were flaring in that specific moment. The only thing that saved Draymond and the Warriors post game and in the aftermath of this particular incident is that he came back to the bench in the fourth quarter after cooling off, and Kerr said he wasn't going to put him back in no matter what because he had left. But the optics were much better that he was sitting there still supporting his teammates. And two, I thought it was crucial that Draymond spoke publicly to the media after the game. And Kerr and Draymond tried to diffuse the situation. It happens. Players and coaches yell at each other all the time. But to your point, we are just not used to seeing a player get so angry that he walks off the bench and has to collect himself.
Were you able to discern after the game exactly what it was he was angry about? Because this is tantamount to quitting on your team. I mean, the Warriors wound up winning this game, but in that moment, they were down by 5 to Orlando in the third quarter. Draymond was not going to come out of the game, much less leave the bench. It was only 3 or 4 minutes into the third quarter. Like, were you able to I know there was a rough sequence that caused Steve Kerr to call a timeout, but why was this the thing that pushed Draymond to this limit?
Chris, we still don't know for sure. The context here is Draymond had just made his first turnover of the night. But as Kerr said after the game, Draymond was playing well. I mean, Draymond in the last 3 games before that Magic game, he had turned the ball over 14 times. I mean, he had just come back off of missing time with a foot injury. He had a team excused absence. He was trying to catch his rhythm, but he really wasn't playing that well. On Monday night, he was playing well. So the turnover got everything kind of rolling. Kerr called the timeout, but the fireworks were almost immediate. And the video that went very quickly viral showed Kerr and Draymond just screaming at each other. Moses Moody was sitting next to Draymond. He stands up and he's like, "Okay, let's I'll take a deep breath." I think in some ways, because the fireworks between Draymond and different personnel within the Warriors organization through the years, I think it actually helps them in the moment because there is that feeling of, the temper's got the best of us. We're just going to move forward and we're going to continue on because we have before. And I thought that was Draymond's best answer. And it shows kind of where the mindset is today and moving forward. I asked Draymond, "Hey, why don't you think this one's going to linger?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, because none of the other ones have in the past." I mean, they've been through a lot of stuff. You and I have lived through a lot of stuff with this team. And I think for the time being, they're going to get through this one as well.
Shout out, by the way, to the fan that had his camera trained on the Warriors bench in that moment in the third quarter. That was the most viewed video of the day on Monday and into Tuesday. So you touched on like how they've gotten through stuff like this before, and they have. Whether it's Draymond melting down in that moment with Rudy Gobert, Draymond punching Jordan Poole, but they've been able to get through all of it. I think a big reason for that is because Draymond, in addition to being the heartbeat of this team, has been an extremely productive player for this team. Now, he still is a really good defensive player. Golden State's top 5 in the league in defensive efficiency. I think Draymond is still a big reason for that. But Nick, offensively, you touched on a bit of it with the turnovers. He has been bad. Like his shooting numbers have just bottomed out. He's low 40s from the field. He's low 40s from 3-point range. Like, do you think play a role in how this team's able to move forward? Because it's one thing to brush it off when Draymond's giving you double doubles and defending 4 positions. But if he's out there turning the ball over and playing like he has for most of this season, does that change the dynamic at all?
It does, because it watches and makes everybody take note of what's happening moving forward. And Chris, the stats that you laid out, those are well taken, and that is the issue that Draymond is going to face now in the next few weeks. Because it's one thing when you know every night how you're going to play and what you're going to do for the group. And offensively, that's where everything is kind of focused, because you mentioned the turnovers and they're huge. The other problem, and it has been throughout the years, frankly, it's been the last couple of seasons, other teams leave so much space for Draymond to just shoot the ball. They dare him to shoot from the outside. In earlier years, he would go, okay, I'm going to knock these down. Now that has become much tougher. They are daring him to shoot. He's shooting, and he's not having a lot of success. I think that is absolutely weighing on him, because he is a very proud guy. Anybody who's watched him through the years knows, I mean, this is a guy who's probably going to the Hall of Fame. He has a standard that he has set for himself and for the rest of the group that, at least offensively, he's not living up to. In fairness to him, I think part of the issue is he hasn't been on the floor as much. Steph has missed some time. He had a quad injury. He was sick. Jimmy's missed some time with a knee injury. They just haven't, as a group, been out there together. But when you are used to seeing him play at a certain level and he is not hitting that level, and that continues to build the frustration over the next few weeks with a team that is very mediocre right now and playing right about 500 all year, those are things that you need to watch for, and things that the Warriors are going to have to account for as they go into the deadline in a year, Chris, where they started with at least the idea of championship expectations.
So what do you think and you mentioned the deadline. What do you think the mindset of the front office is right now? Not specifically with Draymond maybe, but the entirety of this roster. I mean, I think, look, it would be a shock to me if Jonathan Kuminga is on this roster past the February trade deadline. It just, for whatever reason, whether it's a personality clash with Steve Kerr, a basketball clash with Jimmy Butler, it just doesn't seem to be working out with Jonathan Kuminga. But are there other things that they're considering? Would they even consider, anything to do with Draymond Green before the deadline?
That would stun me. I mean, he is the emotional engine of this group. And Chris, the only player really that I think, even to make the numbers work cap-wise, that you would even consider that kind of move would be for Giannis. The problem that I'm seeing as you start looking at the assets and the numbers is I don't think the Warriors have anywhere close to the best offer that Milwaukee could find, assuming that we get down to that path a few more weeks from now and Giannis is indeed on the block and maybe looking to go elsewhere. So the short answer to your question is I think the Warriors are kind of stuck, because they'd love to make a move. And I'm with you. The odds are that Kuminga goes elsewhere between now and the first week of February. But Kuminga, and even if you attach a couple first-round picks and some other salaries to make the numbers work, I don't think you're bringing back the kind of player that's going to be that much of a difference maker for this group. It's why in the messaging, Kerr, Mike Dunleavy, they're all saying, hey, we have the answers here. We have to figure it out with what we have now. I just don't believe that they have the answers to go and contend for another title. And that's the issue. Can they have a better season than what they've shown to this point? Sure. I absolutely think they can play better than what we've seen now. But the reality is, especially with where Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy are at age-wise, they could give somebody a strong push in a series. I just don't believe they can win series after series after series and get back to another finals.
Too bad, too, because Steph is still awesome. Like, you look at him in his late 30s and say, this is another guy that could push 40, go into his 40s, and still be one of the best players in the NBA. Nick Friedell, senior writer from The Athletic. Never boring in the Bay, my friend. I appreciate your time.
The show never stops, my man. It's always good to be with you.